The warning came sharp as a blade. Don't spill the Bordeaux. You couldn't afford it. Rick Vance leaned back at the VIP table in Lille, Manhattan's glittering palace of glass and chandeliers. His half-smile was less charm, more cruelty. Around him, the theater of wealth played on. Crystal clinks, soft laughter, truffle rising in the air. And in the middle of it all moved Anacata, a black woman in a simple uniform, shoes worn thin, her posture precise as if every step balanced on ice. Candy Vance eyed her shoes with a smirk. Lauren Blake dangled her earrings like trophies. Derek Shaw scrolled his phone, golden tan glowing under the lights. Their whispers mixed with a scent of Bordeaux, sweet, venomous. Anna poured steady. No drops, no mistakes. Her face unreadable. She had learned long ago, not every insult needs an answer. Silence could be its own weapon. Manager Greg brushed past, voice clipped. Stay away from James Cole's table. No distractions. In the corner, Cole scrolled his phone, gray suit understated but sharp. No theatrics, yet his presence weighed heavier than any chandelier. At the bar, bartender Mike spotted a photo slip from Anna's apron. A young woman in fatigues, standing proud in a dusty field. "Family?" he asked. Her reply was steady. "Almost." The photo was tucked away, but the truth of it lingered. By the entrance, hostess Jenna twirled her hair. "Smile more, Anna. Guests pay for the vibe." "I'm here to work, not perform," Anna shot back. Jenna's smirk curled. "Then try harder. Don't look so shelter." "Nay, bye," a guest chuckled. Microaggressions wrapped as advice. Anna didn't bite. "Busbo," Tony whispered as he passed. "You okay?" One word. "Fine." It anchored her like stone against a rising tide. The VIP table grew louder. Rick polished an imaginary smudge just to throw another jab about backwater roots. Candy's laugh cut like glass. Across the room, James Cole finally lifted his eyes. Anna met his gaze with the faintest nod. Not performance, but recognition. He saw her, and she saw him. Two stages unfolded, one of ostentatious cruelty, the other of inner control. The tray in her hands never trembled. Jazz floated through the dining room as the shift neared its end. Then the doors of Lille slammed open. 3 men stormed in, ski masks pulled tight, boots striking like hammers. "Everybody down!" The leader barked, gun raised. Screams split the air. Glass shattered. Wine spread like blood across linen. Rick yanked Candy under the table. Lauren's mascara streaked down her cheeks. Derek froze, hand shaking. At the center, Anna stood tall. Tray empty, eyes scanning. 1, 2, 3. The scarred man aimed straight at her chest. "Get down!" Whispers hissed from hiding places. "She's insane. She's going to get us killed." "Get down! You nobody!" Candy spat, but Anna held her breath steady. In one motion, she stepped aside, gripped his wrist, twisted hard. Crack! The gun hit the floor. Her elbow crashed into his jaw. The man folded. She calmly set the tray on a table, surface unshaken. The room gasped as one. The second robber lunged, weapon raised. "Think you're a hero," he snarled. From the floor came frightened voices. "She's showing off. She's gonna get us all shot." Anna didn't answer. She dropped low, swept past him, and drove a kick into his gut. He crashed into a crystal table, glass exploding into shards of stars. A woman in yellow trembled, muttering bitterly. "What is she?" "An actress." The third man waited, blade gleaming. He was patient, deliberate. He slid low, knife aimed for her ribs. Anna shifted, seized his wrist, turned his own momentum. Steel flashed back toward him. In a single motion, she slammed him to the ground, the fight ending as quickly as it began. The room held its breath. The storm had broken, and Anna was no longer just a nameless waitress. Boom! The blade never touched her. The knife turned in mid-air, and when it landed, it was already in her grip. Anna placed it gently on the floor, deliberate, controlled, cooling the fire that had just torn through the room. 15 seconds. That's all it had taken. And now silence ruled. Tony Lee crawled from beneath a table, face pale, voice trembling. Anna, please, stop. But the poison moved faster than gratitude. She's dangerous. She was in on it. That's how she fought them. Analysis. When truth pierces prejudice, it rarely wins applause. It triggers slander. The crowd's instinct to protect its own judgment turns into attack. Anna looked up, calm, unbroken. Her silence no longer read as weakness. It was the axes keeping the room from shattering apart. Sirens wailed outside. Blue lights cut across the window. Police stormed in, radio spitting static. Heavy boots struck the marble floors of 3 robbers were dragged out, wrists cuffed, curses trailing into the night. Then a rough voice stopped short. A buzz-cut officer with a scarred cheek froze. My God, Sergeant Anacata. The room froze again. Anna gave the slightest nod. I just want a normal life. His face softened. Navy Special Forces. Counter-terrorism. Kabul, 2018. You saved my life. Analysis. In a heartbeat, her identity was reframed. No longer a nameless waitress. Not reckless. Not a nobody, but a warrior recognized by authority. The crowd shifted uneasily. A tie was straightened. A wine stain was dabbed. And still the whispers slithered. She's still just a waitress. No one's going to believe this. Those words weren't aimed at Anna alone. They were shields to acknowledge her men admitting they had judged her wrong. Greg Nolan, the manager, shoved through, sweat shining on his forehead. You trying to get us sued? Think you're some vigilante? You're fired. Get your things and go. The room held its breath, waiting. Anna set down a stack of plates. Her eyes cut into him like steel. Are you sure about that? One sentence, enough to flatten his bluster. Greg faltered, then doubled down. Out. Analysis. Institutions often crush justice in the name of safety. That was Greg's defense. But before Anna could move, another figure rose. James Cole, silent until now, brushed invisible dust from his jacket and stepped over shards of crystal. His voice was low for her, loud enough for all. I don't see a waitress. I see the only person here who kept her composure. He extended his hand. Anna studied it, then clasped firmly. Cole raised his voice. From this moment, Miss Anacata is head of security for my corporation. A ripple cracked the room. Rick Vance gaped. Candy dropped her glass. Derek suddenly noticed the corner cameras. The world was watching. And then a smaller voice broke through. Evan Brooks, the 18-year-old busboy, stepped from behind the bar, voice shaking but clear. I saw everything. She saved us. His words burned red into his cheeks, but they were undeniable. Analysis. Sometimes truth doesn't come from the powerful. It comes from the powerless, and it forces everyone else to listen. By morning, security footage spread across every screen. Headlines blazed. Billionaire hires black waitress as head of security after 15-second takedown. Clips replayed in slow motion. The tray steady, the strikes precise, every move like a training manual. Online, the debate split instantly. Hero or show-off, soldier or showboat. But soon, the mockers faced their own trial. Rick Vance's photo went viral, captioned, "This man mocked the woman who saved his life." Candy's remark about dollar store shoes ended her gala invitations. Derek Shaw became a meme. How stable are your investments when you can't recognize real stability? His funding dried overnight. Lauren? She locked her Instagram in silence. Analysis. Justice didn't come in a courtroom. It came from the digital square. Authority reframed her. The public enforced it. And the insults carried a cost. Greg, meanwhile, stood like a man who had slipped into icy water. No word could save him. But this story wasn't about Greg. It was about Anna. She didn't log on to demand credit. She didn't fight for apologies. She moved forward. A week later, Anna Carter walked into the boardroom of Cole Holdings. A simple black suit, hair tied neat. On her desk sat one thing, an old photograph of a young woman in fatigues. A reminder of where she came from. Not just a waitress. Not just a survivor. But the woman who refused to let the tray shake. The photograph was no longer hidden in her apron pocket. Now, it stood framed on her desk. When the glass doors of the Cole Holdings boardroom slid open, the executives straightened in their chairs. One man, the same one who had once chuckled at the dollar store remark in Lille, actually rose to his feet, his hand trembling slightly. "Miss Carter, it's an honor to have you." Anna only nodded. She didn't need speeches. Analysis. In Lille, her silence had been labeled weakness. Hey, in the boardroom, that same silence commanded respect. The meeting began. Anna's tone was direct. Emergency response protocols. Escape routes. Decoy scenarios in case of armed intruders. Training rosters broken down by shift. No theatrics, just precision. Then James Cole entered. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. A single nod lowered the room's volume. Analysis. Cole did not rescue Anna. He recognized her value and acted without hesitation. Leadership is not about theatrics, but about clarity and timing. After the meeting, a young assistant stepped forward. Paige Miller. "I was at Lille that night. I stayed quiet. I'm sorry." She handed Anna a handwritten card. 2 words. "Thank you." Anna slid it into her pocket, next to the framed photo she carried with her. Analysis. The photo and the card, 2 small items, yet together they anchored Anna's past and present. Memory, gratitude, and identity now in dialogue. Outside the office, the storm of attention had cooled, but the ripples remained. Rick Vance issued a stiff apology. Candy stumbled through her events, her words suddenly more measured. Derek tried to salvage his reputation. Lauren rebranded in silence. None were destroyed, but all carried scars of their own arrogance. Analysis. The story resists melodrama. It doesn't crush its antagonists. Instead, it shows a slow recalibration of how words echo in the digital age. And Greg? Greg was still pacing Lille, clipboard in hand, barking about liabilities no one cared about. But the lesson wasn't his. The story never promised redemption for everyone. It promised revelation, that institutions obsessed with lawsuits will always push the brave to the margins, unless visionaries like Cole pull them back into the center. That night, Anna stood alone in her new office. The skyline stretched beyond the glass. City lights blinked like Morse code across the dark. She touched the frame. The face of her fallen comrade stared back from a dusty horizon of Kabul. Analysis. This is not a superhero ending. Anna did not feel triumphant. She felt real, grounded, ordinary, yet never small. Just as she once said, "I just want a normal life." On her way home, a street vendor waved. "For you, lady." In his palm, a simple beaded bracelet. Anna froze. Memory surged. A dusty checkpoint. A gap-toothed child laughing. A comrade calling her back into formation. She bought it, slipped it into her pocket beside the photo and the thank you card. 3 small objects bound together: memory, gratitude, strength. Day by day in her new role, Anna needed no theatrics. When she walked into a room, the noise dimmed. When she laid out a plan, questions grew sharper and fewer. When James Cole gave her a nod, interruptions ceased. Silence, once branded as lack, was now her language of authority. Analysis. The curve of transformation is not in new gestures, but in new meaning. The same silence, but redefined. The story of Leal spread in countless versions. Some called her a hero. Others dismissed it as luck. Some mocked it as 15 seconds of drama. The truth was simpler. Rigorous training, a disciplined body, a clear mind. Rick, Candy, Derek, Lauren, each learned a lesson costly enough to change how they spoke the next time their words cut too deep. Analysis. Freedom of speech exists, but in the digital age, no one is free from the moral weight of consequence. And if one day Greg Nolan ever muttered an apology, Anna would likely just nod and answer, "It's done." Because her life was never about humiliating others. It was about steadying her own hands in the storm. The deeper current of the story is clear. Labels are quick. A black woman in a plain uniform will be branded before she is heard. Breaking labels takes more than one moment of defiance. It takes people willing to see beyond them. Leaders like Cole, witnesses like Evan, and steady strength like Anna's. For those underestimated, this is an invitation. Not to endless endurance, but to calm. Not calm as surrender. Calm as leverage. Calm to stay the course. Calm to strike at the right moment. When the doors burst open. When the shouts of "everybody down" rattle the room. When prejudice demands silence. The tray that doesn't shake becomes a weapon. Silence becomes power. That evening, Anna placed a bracelet on her kitchen table, beside the photo and the card. The city exhaled outside her window. She didn't see herself as a hero. She only saw herself, a black woman with history, with discipline, once dismissed, who stayed steady and was finally seen. And when the next storm comes, she still knows how to keep the tray from shaking. From a scorned waitress in a Manhattan dining hall, Anna Carter showed the world her strength. Silence became her power. And now, the question turns to you. If the moment came, would you bow your head, or would you stand steady and prove your worth? Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this story, and subscribe so you don't miss the next tale that challenges the way we see power.